you have friends just get a normal room and stay in your star class cabin with you for the whole trip? Here's the thing. Let's assume the answer is, I mean, sure, no one's going to stop you. They're not doing a head count when you go in for the evening. The problem with that little strategy, Hobbs, is that the benefits, the star class benefits, are only for the people that booked the room. So the Genie services, the free internet, the all the stuff included is only for people that booked in the room. So the normies that are in the other room, that are sleeping on your couch, that's fine, but they don't get the benefits, and they're not entitled to the benefits, like the Genie services, access to the suite lounge, all that kind of other stuff there. So hopefully that makes sense and you understand that. What are your highlights from your recent cruise? I mean, really, a couple things. Number one, of course, perfect day, Coco Key. I went back to the Coco Beach Club, which I need to write a full review of to update our existing review that's from last year. But I had a great time at the Coco Beach Club. Here's my review. Here's my 30-second review of the Coco Beach Club. Yes, it's way more expensive than it used to be. It doesn't matter what somebody else paid in 2021 or before then. Bottom line is the price is the price is the price currently. Nothing you can do about it. If you've never been, I really do recommend it. I think it is worth the money if you've never been. Do we need a passport to cruise from Galveston, Texas to Cozumel, Mexico? Edward, if your cruise begins and ends in Galveston and you are an American citizen, then no, you don't need a passport. You could cruise with a birth certificate, the original birth certificate, not a copy, the original one, and state issued ID. Yes, then you'd be able to do so. And you're an American citizen, Edward. One more thing. Sorry. Closed loop cruise. Your cruise begins and ends in Galveston. You're an American citizen, and you can then cruise with the birth certificate and state issued ID in that situation. You recommend a travel insurance company? I use Allianz Travel. There's a good resource. I don't have any. By the way, I have no connection with Allianz or this other resource I'm about to tell you about. InsureMyTrip.com. What Insure My Trip does is basically give you a bunch of different companies and compares plans. But I use Allianz. I can recommend them. I've heard very good things about them. And yeah. How does the key work for early debarkation for a tender port such as Skagway? Usually, if you have a tender port in general, Marlena, and you have the key, they'll give you instructions on what times, there's specific places. As memory serves me correctly, in other situations, they've had two different tender spots on the ship. One for people with Royal Caribbean excursions, maybe the key, and for people that are doing things on their own. So you'll get instructions on board the ship at the very least. I'm also going on Alaska cruise. How are the stabilizers innovation? I got super sick on that other cruise line, which I've never been on. I'll be on a cruise. So here's the thing, Lenini. Yes, there are stabilizers on a ship like Ovation of the Seas. Now, stabilizers are not the end all be all of what makes a stable cruise. I mean, you can get seasick. I got seasick on Wonder of the Seas. And that was in March, and that's the biggest cruise ship in the world. So it's possible to get seasick. But here's the thing, Lenina. Being prepared for being seasick is the strategy and the solution to this. So what you want to do, there's a couple of ways, since you already know you got seasick once. Okay, no problem at all. A couple options. One, you can get an over-the-counter medication. You can go to your local pharmacy and pick a product called Bonine, Bonine. You can actually buy it on Amazon, in fact. And you take it once a day. It's very effective, works great. If you'd prefer, you could go to your doctor and get a prescription for a patch that goes behind your ear. I believe it's the scopolamine patch. Just ask your doctor for a seasickness patch. It requires a prescription. You buy that, and then you put it behind your ear the day before you leave for your cruise. Never take it off during your sailing, and that's great. Or there are homeopathic strategies, like you could have ginger, like ginger ale. There are ginger pills you could purchase. There's all sorts of other ways you could do it. But the bottom line is, what I'm trying to tell you is it's possible to see seasick even on a ship like Ovation, the size of that ship. But if you have the right tools, the right medications, then you can really easily mitigate the effects. And if you're truly worried about it, here's what get that Bonine, take it every day, and you'll be fine. So there was a fire on Quantum of the Seas this past week, but Royal Caribbean is acting like nothing happened. Would you feel safe sailing on one or two engines, having two engine fires in 3 months? I'm not sure about the two engine fires in 3 months, but yes, I'd feel perfectly safe. Let me tell you something. And again, we don't have a lot of details on this, so this is part of the reason. But my understanding, and I could be wrong on this, but my understanding from what I've heard is that there was a fire. It was in the stack. Basically, on a very basic level here, you have, you're burning fuel, right? Diesel fuel. It generates electricity and the smoke goes up. Well, anytime you burn something, there's soot. Soot can get really hot. It caught on fire. But the bottom line is there's no damage, no impact to the sailing. These things have happened in the past. So it's happened. I remember, and it was actually way worse on Freedom of the Seas. If you guys remember, Freedom of the Seas had one in 2015, I think. And but the bottom line is, yeah, fire is like the number one threat for cruise ships. But it's once the fire's out, the fire is out. And the answer to your question, I would absolutely feel safe. There's nothing more to report on that. It's just sometimes things happen. There are accidents. It's known to happen. The good news is the protocols that were in place contained the fire, made sure it was not spreading, and the ship is safe to sail. I really, honestly, I listen. You guys all know I'm a big Royal Caribbean fan, like many of you guys. So I'm not here to tell you that I'm the most unbiased person in the world when I share this tidbit of information. But I really do feel that yes, the ship is safe. I mean, in this day and age, they're not going to be cavalier with the safety of the ship, the crew members, or the guests, not necessarily in that order, because this is a company that's looking to make business. And let me tell you something, the only thing worse than a random fire occasionally is a major problem, right? That can really ruin an entire company. Look at Costa as an example of that. Not a fire, but you get my point. Anyway, the bottom line is, yes, I feel totally safe with that. So, how many people wear tuxedos on forum nights? Very few. In general, there's been a more casual approach to cruising over the last X amount of years, however many you want to define. I mean, will there be some people? Yes. I think you'll find a handful of people. Generally, you will find more people who go more of an all out, who might be wearing a tuxedo on a longer sailing, like a 7-nighter or longer, as opposed to a 3 or 4 night cruise. If you're on a 3 night cruise, or even a 4 night cruise, you're probably not seeing anybody in a tuxedo, maybe like one or two randos. But on longer sailings, you get more of that, still that tradition there. It's not necessary to wear a tuxedo. I think personally, I don't own a tuxedo, number one. Number two, I would say it's probably over the top for this day and age. I don't have any problem with it. I think it looks nice. It's just not my thing. I wear a suit and I feel perfectly comfortable with that. So I'll be on alert this season 20 days. Do I have to make reservations for the shows or can I just show up? You can do either or. On an Oasis class ship, I really do believe it's in your best interest to make reservations, Victor. Again, once you get on board the ship, connect to the Wi-Fi, go in the Royal Caribbean app, and you can make reservations. It's really easy to do so, and there's no cost to make reservations. First time doing a cruise with a Genie, recommendations of what to do with them. I mean, just ask, and ask again. One of the things you're going to have to get used to, especially if you cruise before, is you're just used to being a little more self-reliant. But truly, ask the Genie. The worst they're going to tell you is no. It's there's like what the Genie can do for you is not fully defined. It's very ambiguous, I think purposefully so. They can do a lot of cool things. So talk to your Genie, say, hey, here's an example of one. Have a standing breakfast order. Every morning, this food, these drinks get delivered to your cabin. When you get back on a cruise from your shore excursion, have a snack waiting. Define that, right? Let them know, give them as much information as possible so they can make your vacation a lot easier. How do SeaPasses work for payments, and how to best cash tip at bars, dining, same as on land? Good question. So yeah, SeaPass work basically, Kenya, anywhere on board the ship that you're paying for something. You say, Miss Kenya, you owe us whatever. Use your SeaPass card. It's like a credit card. Same idea. Works almost exactly the same. They don't take cash on board, so you can't be like, oh, $20, here's cash. They don't do that. Outside the casino, of course. So it's pretty straightforward. For tipping at bars and restaurants, in restaurants, when you dine there, you'll have a receipt. And you can tip right on the receipt, just like at a restaurant on land. So that's pretty straightforward. For bars, any drink that you order will have a 18% gratuity already with it. If you have if you have a drink package, the gratuities part is already covered there. And even if you don't, if you're just ordering an individual drink, you'll be assessed 18%. You'll see it on the receipt. You'll see, okay, here's the drink price, here's the 18%. You can tip on top of that. I often tip $1 extra on top just to say thank you. But 18% is more than enough, so you don't necessarily need to feel like you need to do so. How crazy do the sail away parties get? Are they worth attending? Also, what are your thoughts on the Coco Keys zip line? The sail away parties don't get crazy. There are people that are up on the pool deck dancing. There'll be live music during your sail away, and there'll be music, and there will be someone from the activity staff leading everybody in the Cupid Shuffle and the other songs that I can't dance or remember the words to. But it's pretty tame. It's like line dancing or whatever the equivalent is today. I mean, they're not singing a line. It's formation dancing. It's the Macarena-esque dancing style, whatever that is. So I would not say it gets really wild. It's definitely family friendly, and certainly fine. Is it worth attending? Some people really like them. I personally just like being there for the energy, not necessarily that I ever get down there in the conga line and and singing or dancing. but I do like the energy of it. It's kind of fun. Nice way to celebrate together. So sure, why not? What are my thoughts on the Coco Key zip line? It's cool. There's three different zip lines, which is really nice. So you get a little more. It's not just one long zip line, which makes the value seem a little bit better. So sure, why not? What is the best thing to do in Labadee? I will only preface this by saying number one, I think you have a great time without buying anything. Just simply go to a beach, Kayla. There's a lot of cool things to do there. My go-to is to rent a cabana at Labadee. That's just my style. But you have a great time by simply going to the floating bar at Labadee, and enjoying some time there on Adrenaline Beach, or going to Nellie's Beach or Columbus Cove and doing something over there. So have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy. Stay safe out there. Do something fun. That's important as well. And we'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.